Hi, this is EasyStringer, and what you see here is all you really need to do to string badminton or tennis. But what this video is mostly about is how to explain why and how EasyStringer is so unique compared to any other tension head on the market, because it never overpulls, never overstretches a poly string, unlike just about any other tension head on the market, which quickly transforms a poly string into a steel cable, which is one of the leading factors of why poly strings contribute to arm, elbow, and wrist injuries. EasyStringer will never overstretch poly strings, meaning they will always play as soft and comfortable as synthetic gut or even multi-filament strings. You must remember that synthetic gut strings can stretch 20 to over 30%, and even if they are pulled as hard as you can and overstretched, more often than not, they're able to bounce back and retain their resiliency, just like this cord that I'm pulling. Now, I'm pulling it as hard as I can, and it's stretched to the max, but it continues to be able to retain its resiliency and elasticity. Whereas a poly string is more like these little springs. As long as you don't overstretch them, they retain the resiliency and able to bounce back, just like this little spring, which is the same spring inside the ballpoint pens that we use every day. However, it can only stretch about 2 to 3%. Very, very little. Just like this, as if you notice, I pull it just a very little bit, and it's able to bounce back and retain its elasticity. But if you pull it any more than 2 to 3%, then immediately it becomes like this. It becomes a wire. Absolutely no elasticity. Completely unable to return any energy it absorbs. Its job as a spring is completely over. This is how most poly strings end up and why people get injuries. If you keep it like this, spring, where it's able to return energy and bounce back, have elasticity, then your poly spring will play just like this, the yellow cord that I showed, or a synthetic gut, multi-filament gut. And I'm going to show you why this happens. Here I have a lockout machine that I'm going to use for my example. And I'm going to pull it with both the tension head that comes with the machine and with EasyStringer and show you the difference. Including this machine, all machines on the market will pull with inertia, meaning the faster you pull, the more it overstretches, the more it overshoots. It's just like when you ride an elevator and you're about to stop when you're going down. You feel heavier for even a brief moment in time. This is the same. The faster the elevator goes down, the heavier you get when it stops. You want to reduce inertia as much as possible. Pull as slowly as you can, just like I'm doing here. Notice how slowly I'm pulling. I take my time. And here, it finally stopped. No overshooting preserves elasticity. Just like this spring in your ballpoint pen. If it's like this, this is ideal. It will reduce injuries, be very easy on your arm, and play just like any synthetic gut or multi-filament string. If you were to pull very fast like this, it will immediately overstretch and kill the string. Just like this wire that I'm holding, which used to be a spring. It is very hard and stiff now, and that's why you will get elbow and arm injuries. When using a drop weight machine, try to lower the drop weight as slow as possible. Electronic machines are the worst. More often than not, you cannot control the speed at which it pulls. If there's an option, set the pull speed at the lowest possible. Otherwise, electronic machines will overpull and overstretch anywhere from 10 to 18% or even more. Plucking the string inside the frame of the racket shows a low pitch, meaning the tension is relatively low. The elasticity of the string should be okay, while the string leading from the outside of the frame to the tension head has a higher pitch, meaning the tension is higher. The higher the pitch, the more likely the string has been overstretched. Measuring the length of the string being pulled is roughly 64 centimeters. However, after I clamp the string, I am no longer pulling at 64 centimeters, but a much shorter 33 centimeters. The same amount of pulling force exerted over a longer string is now exerted over a much shorter string. This means the shorter string from the outside of the frame to the tension head is at a much higher risk of being overpulled. This lockout machine has stopped pulling, so there is no risk of it overstretching, overpulling the string. However, constant tension pull, drop weight, and especially electronic machines will continue to pull, overshoot, overstretch, and completely kill any elasticity the string may have, just like a metal wire. I measure the length of the overstretched dead string, and I notice that when I thread it through the racket, I quickly realized that it becomes most of the length of the next string that I will be pulling. No matter how careful I am about pulling the next string, it is already dead. It has no elasticity whatsoever. This ensures your entire string bed will be entirely dead when you finish. Nothing but metal wires. That's why people tend to get injured when playing with poly strings, because the majority of them are strung this way. EasyStringer's unique pulling mechanism is comprised of very short pulls and quick stops. There is no momentum or inertia created, so overpulling, overstretching is impossible. EasyStringer is not an automatic constant tension pull, which means when you stop pumping, it stops pulling. It's no different than clamping the string. So rest assured, 100% of the string's elasticity is protected. EasyStringer can be considered a lockout machine that gives you the option of adding additional tension if there is sudden tension loss for any reason. Measure the length of the string being pulled and find it is much shorter than most other machines on the market. In this instance, it's about 41 centimeters. I clamp the string and remeasure the amount of string being pulled from the clamp to the tension head, and it's about 11 centimeters. The same amount of pulling force that has been exerted over a longer string is now over a much shorter string. But because EasyStringer is like a lockout machine, it stops pulling. It's no different than clamping the string. There is no chance of overpulling, overstretching the string. The elasticity is protected. I remove the string from the pistol tension head and I remeasure roughly 11 centimeters of the string that came out of the racket to the pistol. And when I try to thread it through the next main, I quickly realize that it's very short, meaning that it does not enter the sweet spot of the racket. So even if this length of the string is overstretched, overpulled, and becomes just like this wire, it's irrelevant because that's not where you hit the ball. As long as the sweet spot is protected, with a string full of elasticity, your string bed will be very lively and play very soft and comfortable, just like any other multi-filament or synthetic gut string. I hope this video has explained to you why EasyStringer is more than just a small portable machine. It can pull poly strings better, more efficient, and safer than most other tension heads on the market. You can buy the full set for easy portability, or if you already have a stringing machine and want to string poly strings better than a pro, or if your machine has a broken tension head, all you need is an EasyStringer pistol tension head.